All right. Good afternoon. It's Greg Deville, the Wealth Builder Podcast, episode 3. We are excited to be back with you live on air. Listen, it's a wonderful time. We've been here in Chicago. I have had the opportunity to speak at the Wealth Summit here in Chicago, where I was keynote speaker on building wealth through equity. We're having a little technical difficulty with our view. However, we're going to continue to move forward. I want to make sure that I have given wonderful episodes thus far as it relates to wealth builder and building wealth in one's life. Today, we want to talk about on today's topic, men's health is wealth. I have today we're gonna chime him in just a moment. Dr. Victor Bruce. He studied at the University of Ghana Medical University there in West Africa. He did his residency at Beth Israel Medical Center in New Jersey. He currently resides in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we want to introduce Dr. Victor Bruce to the show on today. Dr. Bruce, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm feeling fantastic, and I'm very honored to have this opportunity to share my 25 years of medical knowledge and experience with my brothers on the podcast.
I've been talking wealth building ideas and for some time now. It's been a few years. I've been in business over 43 years, and I really, as a 60-year-old man myself, have been really the last 10 or 15 years really been focused on health, and I've been seeing a lot happening in our society and community where people are doing wonderful in business, but their health is failing as they become more successful. And I think it's because we sometimes focus on the wealth, but not the health. Today's podcast is men's health is wealth. So I know, Doctor, you and I spoke on last week about some new invasive treatments for ED. And I wanted to give you an opportunity to come on the show and let's talk about several things. But let's start there. Your latest non-invasive treatment for ED and procedures. Can you give us a little history on or a little story about how this is rapidly growing in our community?
Yes, indeed. Yes. So I'm going to give you a little tutorial on what we call shockwave low intensity ultrasound therapy for ED. Basically, what we have done is hack the body's own healing system that for any kind of injury you get, your body goes through a series of stages. One, it sends special cells that determine that, hey, there's injury. I don't care if it's your ankle or your toe. And these cells go there and they recruit healing or growth factors. These growth factors come in and they cause blood vessels to be formed and new fibroblasts. That's the connective tissue that causes the healing. And lo and behold, in a couple of months, the wound is gone. Now, how is this related to the treatment of ED? So ED basically is mostly 95% of the time, it's blockage of tiny little blood vessels that fill up the tissues of the penis. There's special tissues on each side that are like a sponge. And in order to get a good erection, you need the blood vessels to bring in a lot of blood and the veins to close off so that you have a rigid penis. Now, over time, and as we grow older, a bunch of things cause blockage of these blood vessels. Smoking, sedentary lifestyle, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, the list goes on and on and on, and bad food. Now, these blood vessels, the biggest one is about 2 millimeters in diameter. We're talking the size of a martini straw. So it doesn't take a lot to block it off at all. All right. So these are the statistics. Men age 40, 40% encounter some ED problems. Age 50, 50%. 60, 60%. 70, 70%. And you get the picture. So as you grow older, the incidence gets higher and higher. And it's majority are the same problem. The plumbing is clogged. All right. So up until now, we've had, the penile injections, and then we've had Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra that basically open up blood vessels by promoting nitric oxide formation. But there are a lot of guys who no longer works for, especially when the clog is very very advanced. So here we bring in this ultrasound therapy. We apply it to about 11 spots on or around the penis, and what it does is it sends these sound waves into the tissues, and the tissues interpret these sound waves as micro trauma or micro injury. It's not really injury, but that's the signal that the cell walls get. And so lo and behold, what do? They do the same healing process. They recruit growth factors, fibroblasts, angiogenetic factors. These basically, I'm giving you a quick summary, but it basically ends up forming a bunch of new blood vessels after a few treatments. And next thing you know, you don't need any medications, you don't need any injections, and you're getting well, engorged penis, and everybody's happy. There are no side effects because there's no drugs involved. All right. Two quick folks that it doesn't work for people with nerve damage, because you need the nerve to talk to the blood vessels to fill up, to do the filling. So people with nerve damage, the old radical prostatectomy is a classic example where you have, nerves that have been destroyed. So it doesn't work for that. And of course, people with primary nerve problems like multiple sclerosis or Lou Gehrig's disease, but those are a tiny minority. For most men, if you do enough treatment, this works. I know I'm going a little fast, but also you got to be sure you're getting the correct type of ultrasound equipment, because there are two main types. There's what we call focused shock waves, and there's radial. Now, the focused equipment is that the ultrasound signal it penetrates deeper into the corpus cavernosa, which is the tissues of the penis in charge of the engorgement. So I've had patients who come in and say, hey, I had this treatment, it didn't work. And I go to research what equipment was used, and it's the radial short wave. It doesn't go very deep, doesn't work very well. So that's kind of like an overview.
Okay, wonderful. That's great information. And so typically how many treatments are really to see a difference in ED when you talk about treatment? How many treatments do you recommend?
That's a great question. So same as when you plant a flower in the ground, we're trying to grow something. We're growing blood vessels, so it's not speedy. So typically it's 15 to 20 minutes once a week treatment for 6 treatments. Then we take 4 weeks off and we do another 6. That is a total of 12 treatments. And as you can see, this allows for time for the new blood vessels to form. And so for about 80-85% of folks, by the 12th week, we've had enough new growth, and you can see a difference. And we actually give penile exercises because it's just like working on the gym. It's not one and done. And so the more you stimulate the penis, the more you recruit these growth factors, and the quicker you form these blood vessels. Now, I've had a couple of patients who are in their 80s, so that they need extra treatment, so we can go 18 treatments for those. Usually, once you get results, it's good for about a year or two, of course, depending on if you've removed the factors that cause the blockage in the first place. Real quick, if you have diabetes, you want your A1C under 6%. If you have high blood pressure, you want to take your medications, exercise, eat right, and get your blood pressures consistently under 120/80. If you're a smoker, to quit. If your cholesterol is elevated, you need to make sure you take your medications and get your total cholesterol well under 200 and your bad cholesterol or LDL well under 100. If you remove these risk factors, if you do not exercise, if you're a couch potato, you want to get up and exercise 30 minutes 3 times a week minimum. If you do all these things, then you can have basically long lasting good erections without re-occlusion. So I'll pause again for question.
So as we're talking about, and so many men are in denial, or at least wanted to admit and talk to someone, so they find all these gas station pills and things that kind of enhance for a while. Get to a place where those finally quit working, and you finally do need to face the elephant in the room.
Yeah, we used to call that particular complaint the door handle complaint because when I was 20 years ago, when I was, inexperienced, we'll go in the room and talk about their blood pressure and their gout and their thyroid problems. And
Mm.
25 minutes later, when you're ready to leave and you touch the door handle, is when they say, "Oh, by the way, doc, can I have some Viagra because I'm having erection problems?" A lot of men have difficulty bringing it up front. So it's a very common problem that most men do not seek medical attention for, but it's important. So with experience now, we always do what we call a review of systems. So if you come
Mm.
to me with a cough, after we talk about the cough and I examine your lungs, I'm going to do a review, go through system by system, starting from your head all the way down to your toes. So when
Mm.
we get to the sexual health area, it becomes a little more routine. How's your peeing? How's your prostate? Are you waking up at night to go pee 2, 3 times? How's your erections? How's your sex drive? And through that screening process, we're able to find lots of cases where they otherwise would not have fessed up because they're embarrassed. Now, mind you, the ladies have theirs too. When they're leaking, when they leak urine when they pee, they also,
Mm.
when they laugh, they also are embarrassed to tell us. So all these things we have to pry out of patients to get the information. And sometimes if you're lucky, their wife or girlfriend is the one who will quote unquote snitch on them and say, "Hey, uh, Johnson is not working as good." And then, I would typically do a medical review and then check your testosterone level because that's another important thing. And
Mm.
that's going down, in your late 30s, 40s, and you wouldn't know. But, the symptoms are pretty much, low libido, low sex drive, poor erections.
Mhm.
So, first thing we do is make sure that level is good, and also you get that pot belly that will not go away unless you treat that testosterone. It's not nothing's going to
Mm.
change. So it's very easy to treat that. You feel good. You feel, vitality goes up. Sex drive comes back. Erections are good. So we do everything in totality. And
Mm.
the interesting thing is that for years, I've been in Vegas since 1998, and my clinic motto has always been health is wealth. So we're right on
Yes.
resonating on the same page because, man,
Wonderful.
I've had so many multi-millionaire patients who have disregarded their health and gone to chase the next deal, and sadly I
Mhm.
go to funerals because
Mm.
if they don't take advice, then that happens. But then I have a ton who do, side by side. I always ask my patients, do you have a car? Yes. Do you take it for oil change and brake pad? Yes. Do you do the same? I say, what about your own body? That creates every single thing that you have. When was
Uh-huh.
the last prostate exam you had? When was the last colonoscopy? When did you do your blood work? And you'll be amazed at how many people, service their car, but they do not maintain their bodies. So I'm always excited to be part of a teaching program, and I do this kind of stuff all the time. So thank you for
So
giving me the opportunity to talk to your crew as well.
absolutely. Absolutely. So you spoke a bit about prostate, and I wanted to talk about prostate awareness. Just kind of pivot here a bit,
Mhm.
as I have an uncle who's living with prostate cancer. However, how can we help somebody? Because that's what the wealth mindset and wealth podcast is all about. As the wealth build the great Deville, I want to build wealth and health. In that, let's talk about the prostate awareness. What should men do, and when should they begin checking themselves? I understand it's not like it used to be at 50. I hear some men could probably start even in their 30s. What would you say, doctor, being a men's specialist?
So, quick overview. So, we're all born with tiny prostates, like a tiny grape, and we
Right,
all, as we age, the prostate enlarges with us, every single
right.
guy, right?
Hmm.
Now, however, only about 10% of men get symptoms from these enlarged prostates. We call that benign prostatic hyperplasia. It's just
Benign. Okay.
you have
Hmm.
trouble with emptying your bladder. You wake up at night to go pee. You can't hold your urine. So that's BPH. But the bigger issue is out of that 10%, another 10% develop prostate cancer. And these cancer cells start inside the deep inside the prostate tissue. It's basically like an apple. And where
Okay.
the apple stalk is where your urethra passes through to pee. So when the core gets thick and big, you start
Hmm.
having problems. As far as prostate cancer screening, right now, from age 40 onwards, a simple blood test called a PSA or prostate specific antigen is what is
Hmm.
required. Now, when I was a medical student, it did not exist. So we had a silly test called acid phosphatase, and then we also did the finger wave or digital prostate exam. We still
Hmm.
do the prostate exam, but it's not as necessary unless the patient comes in with symptoms of blockage, and then we'll check to see if we can feel. But typically, by the time I can feel with my finger nodules on that apple, you have fairly advanced prostate cancer. So a blood test PSA is essential. 0 to 4 is where we all should be. Anything above 10, high probability that cancer cells are starting. If you do this once a year, you will not miss a starting prostate cancer. It's a very sensitive test. And your doctor, if say I do it last year and it was 2.5 and this year is 13, then I'm going to do a
Oh,
digital exam as well to see if I can feel any nodules. Then I might order a prostate ultrasound or MRI. So, especially if you have family history or you're starting to get, if you have family history, you want to start it earlier. But as of now, 40, definitely by 45, you have to start doing your PSAs and or the digital exam if your doctor deems it necessary. It is one of the easiest cancers to cure if caught early. Okay,
wonderful.
nobody should die of prostate cancer. If you do, it means you neglected it for years and years and years. Um, the earlier you get it, the more aggressive it is likely to be. However, if you get it later after 65 or so, there's some countries where they don't even treat because it grows so slowly in most cases that the teaching is that you die with prostate cancer instead of prostate cancer. But say you're 42 and you get it, it's going to be the aggressive type. So, guys, a simple blood test once a year will catch it early, get rid of it, and you live a normal, healthy, wealthy life.
So we can get in touch with you, doctor. We want to do a PSA to find out because I really want to see. I go to the barbershops and I discuss this because I'm regularly every 6 months I go back and do a PSA just to kind of
Right.
levels go up and down. I
Right.
understand that's kind of normal. Level goes up and down. But however,
Correct.
as you mentioned, you don't want to go up as high as 9, 10, 13. What
Correct.
should I look for when I go to my doctor or if I come to you, doctor, what should I look for as a good? I'm 50 years old. I'm 60
Mhm.
years old. I want to talk to the guy who's listening to me that's in his 40s because we want to catch you early.
Right.
What number? I heard you mention a number, and just so the guys would know what we're talking about, what number should I expect to have a result reading from my doctor? What number should I listen for?
Regarding the PSA,
The PSA, yes,
okay, so 0 to 4 is
zero
just
to four.
generally normal.
Okay.
Above 10 is
Ooh.
highly suspicious of cancer. That means between 4 and 10,
Mm.
we have to watch it a little closer. Okay, and we
Yeah.
might actually between 4 and 10, we might start ordering that prostate MRI or ultrasound to say, hey, what's going on? Above 10, we're gonna refer you to the urologist so he goes get prostate biopsies. And so if you do that, you're not gonna miss it. The false negative is very low. False negative is when a condition exists, but the test misses to catch the test, the disease. All right. So the PSA is a very good, very sensitive. In fact, it's so sensitive that it often catches some readings come high that are not true cancer, but you
Hmm.
can easily sort those out. So I've had a few who have just very large prostates, and the prostate cells make a little more PSA than normal. But it's better to have a high number, investigate, and see that it's not true, and not true positive, than to not check at all and then show up with
Hmm.
advanced prostate cancer.
Right, right. Okay. Now, I want to ask this one as well because we talk about the prostate and how to preventive measures by simply going to do a PSA. Number two, I want to ask today about colonoscopies and colon cancer. So, I've done a colonoscopy. How soon, how early would you recommend for men to look into colonoscopy exams?
So the U.S. Preventative Task Force is the organization that helps us set up the timelines for screening tests. For the general population, 50 is when you're supposed to start doing screening colonoscopies, and it's once every 10 years. If
10
you're black,
years.
if you're black, 45 is the number because we get uh, black folks getting prostate cancers earlier than the general population. Now,
Mm,
this is some of it is genetic, but a lot of it is probably environmental because there are tons of studies. I grew up in West Africa, and although we have the same gene pool, the prostate, the colon cancer incidence is not as high over there, and we think it's mostly dietary. We have diets that are high in fiber, and the food moves rapidly
mm,
through the colon, whereas the processed foods in the U.S. And the bad, chemicals and all that exposes
hmm.
us to more carcinogens. But in summary, at 45, you should start. Now, if you have a family member who was diagnosed with colon cancer, then you take their age and you start your screening 5 years prior. For example, say your dad got diagnosed at age 48. That means you should start screening when you're 43,
Mm,
right?
okay.
So it's a very simple procedure these days. In fact, I've had two of them, and for both, when it was done, I was asking the nurse, when are you going to start? The reason is that, they knock you out for 20 or 30 minutes with
Right.
a quick IV. You're gone, you wake up, it's done. Somebody drives you home. The hardest part is the cleaning out,
Yeah.
um, which you have to do the day before. So you'll be sitting
Hmm.
on the body until basically you're passing liquid, feels like passing pee from the
Right.
backside. The better the clean out, the better the view. Okay, it's like
Right.
driving in a dark neighborhood at night. If
Hmm.
the lights are on brightly, then you can see everything. So a bad prep is terrible for the gastroenterologist. A good prep sees everything. Now, here's the catch. If they see any let me go back. Colon cancer typically takes about 5 to 10 years to develop. It starts as polyps. Polyps are little finger growths that can happen anywhere in the colon. They are without any symptom. You would not know. So at the colonoscopy, they will see these polyps and they can take them out with the telescopic camera equipment that we have these days and send them to the lab for biopsy. Now, if you have polyps, then most gastroenterologists will say, hey, let's repeat in 3 to 5 years so that if there are any new growths, we can take them out before they become cancerous. Now, if it's completely clean, then you don't need to repeat it for 10 years because let's say I do a colonoscopy today, 2024, August 30. It has no polyp. Let's say 2027, a polyp starts growing. All right. So, but it's going to take that polyp about 10 years to become cancerous. So by the time I do my next colonoscopy, I'm going to catch that guy before the cells become cancerous and chop it out again. So that's why those intervals are important. It takes a long time and you really have to ignore getting a checkup for years and years. So anybody who gets colon cancer, I mean, of course, the diseases do not read the textbooks. So once in a while, we have like our unfortunate brother with from Wakanda Forever who got it at 38. You know, that is very sad. Nothing could have caught that because he wasn't even at 45 to start screening. But now his family members have to start screening around age, say 32, 33, because the family, because the history. But for most people, by far, if you start at 45, do it every 10 years, you're not gonna miss it 99.9% of the time. So it's very important to get it done. Remember,
is there anything?
Sorry, I was going to say for all cancers, the trick is to catch it early because by the time it shows symptoms, for most of them, it's too late. Which brings me to let me do a quick dive into the new cancer screening test that I was telling you about. It's called the Gallery test. Yes. Gallery is Galleri. If you forget, just think of an art gallery and replace the Y with an I. I encourage everybody to go online and read about this test. We've been waiting for this test for a long time, but they finally perfected it. It's available for the population. I've started doing it. Insurance is currently not covering it, but I'm pretty sure once Medicare picks it up, insurances will start doing it. But to tell you real quick, for years and years, patients come and say, hey, can you check my blood and see if I have cancer? And I always tell them there is no such test. Well, that is no longer true. The Gallery test now involves taking 2 tubes of blood, shipping it to Grail Labs. It's a specialty lab. They use some very high technology DNA fingerprinting to identify over 50 cancers from a simple blood test when they are very early and you have absolutely no symptoms. How many people have I not buried with pancreatic cancer, ovarian cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer? We don't have any screening tests for any of these. So it's a luck of the draw. It's a crapshoot whether you get it or not. So I always advise my patients, if you have any family history or if you're over 40, save some money, get this blood test. Right now, depending on the region where you are, it starts anywhere from about $950 to about $1,500. Here right now, it's $1,350. once a year or once every 2 years. If you invest in yourself and do this test, within about 10 days, the results come to us. We call you and we explain. 99 out of 100 is going to be no cancer cell signal detected. But every now and then you catch, and not only will it tell you that there's a signal detected, it will tell you which organ it's coming from. This
Mm,
blows this blows my mind that
yeah.
technology has come this far, but gallery test is a game changer, and I'm hoping Medicare picks it up soon because it will save the system a lot of money. It's so easy to treat a cancer if you catch it early, and you can cure it, and so expensive when it's advanced and you have to do chemo, surgery, radiation, and all of that. So I highly, highly recommend you look into that test. And anybody who's interested in getting it done, just call my office, and it's a quick 5 minutes. Come, we take blood, and you go home.
Okay.
So,
Okay. How can we reach you at your office? What's your contact information?
um, so the office number is the main number is 702-834-9200. Again, 702-834-9200, and it's called Ever Ready Health. And I'm located right here on Blue Diamond between Rainbow and Decatur. So I have patients from all over town, and Pahrump and Mesquite, and sometimes from out of state. I do a lot of wellness. I do IV, high dose vitamin therapies. I do a lot of stem cell treatments, a lot of preventative health. And I'm a big proponent of prevention is way, way better than, fighting to fix people after they are broken. So if you come to me, I'm going to bug you about exercising, about your diet, about your checkups, and of course, mental health as well. Get it all holistically uh, in good shape, and enjoy, the few decades that we have on the planet. So
Yeah.
that's ever ready health. Health is wealth.
So let me ask you this question, doctor. For years we've been hearing about this silent killer, the silent killer in health. And because we're talking about men's health, we got heart disease, high blood pressure. So we how can we prevent a lot of this heart disease and high blood pressure? What is your recommendation that men, I'm speaking to men who over 30, 40, 50, what would you recommend to men? And I know we've heard it, but I wanted to come directly on the podcast today from the doctor to say, look, we've talked about so many things. We talked about colon, preventive measures for prostate.
Right.
Let's talk about how do we prevent? What do you recommend with high blood pressure and the heart disease?
Yes. So these are silent killers because you feel absolutely fine. I've had patients walking here with blood pressure of 200, 120, and they came for
Mm,
their DOT physical, or they came because they were in a car accident. And I'm like, do you know your pressure is that high? They're like, no. It is
mm,
terrible because, if they have a toothache or they have gout, they will be in your office the following day. But with
yeah.
high blood pressure, you don't feel it. And sadly, again, blacks have a very high incidence of high blood pressure, also known as hypertension. 90% of the
Mm,
time, it's inherited. The genes come from way up the family tree, 90% of the time.
mm,
There's some
mm,
historical, interesting information about why that is so, especially here in the US. But suffice it to say that my advice to everybody is invest 50, 60, $70 and purchase a blood pressure machine that you can keep at home. Check it once a week or so, put it by your bedside. Just wrap it around your arm, push a button, wait a minute, it will give you your numbers. This way, when it starts going up above, 140 over 90 is hypertension. Normal
Mm.
is 120 over 80 or better. If you do not check, you will not know. Also, if you go for your annual checkup, of course, they'll check in the doctor's office, but unfortunately, there's some people who have what we call white coat syndrome. Their
Mm.
blood pressure shoot through the roof when they're in the doctor's or dentist's office. It's uncontrollable, it's subconscious. So it's not as reliable as your home blood pressures. If you're like, hey, doc, I don't feel like buying a machine or checking at home. Hey, when you go to the pharmacy or Sam's Club or Walmart, go sit at one of those free machines, put your arm in it, check your pressures. Do this at least once a month if you're going to the store, but ideally do your own at home. Now, what are the things that cause high blood pressure? Number one, like I said, inheritance. You can't do anything about it. But the lifestyle issues that help it get better or worse are your diet. Low salt diet helps it go down. High salt diet, French fries, pizzas, moves it up. Lack of
Mm.
exercise moves it up. Regular aerobic exercise 3-4 times a week minimum brings it down, right? So diet and exercise very important, but first of all you got to check it. If you don't check it, you wouldn't know. Now the end result of untreated high blood pressure always the same: kidney damage, heart disease, heart attacks and strokes, damaged vision. And so if you go to blind centers or you go to dialysis units, you're going to find a lot of black folk in there because of untreated hypertension. So,
Mm.
so regular exercise, weight control, low salt diet, and of course, sometimes you do all these and you still get high blood pressure. I am 59 and a half, and I've had high blood pressure since age 38. I only
Mm.
found it because I kept checking, and I have strong family history. I work out regularly, I'm active, I golf, I eat right, I eat salads, and I still got it at 38. Can you imagine if I never checked? Getting
Mm.
to 50 now, by now I would have had a heart attack for sure. Okay? Or kidney
Mm.
problems for sure. So, very important. Now, cholesterol, same story: inheritance, diet, and exercise. Again, that
Mhm.
unfortunately, there's no way to get a machine. You have to go get a blood test. So, you fast for 12 hours, go to your doctor, and they take blood or give you a lab form, go to the lab and check it. Make sure the levels are uh, decent. And of course, cholesterol is not one particle; it is multiple particles. There is the total cholesterol. There's the HDL cholesterol, which is also called good cholesterol, and there's the bad or LDL cholesterol. And then there are further details. There's something called lipoprotein small a. Those are very small, sticky LDL cholesterol particles that are inherited as well. And
Ah.
so, unless you check, there is no way to know. And so the story goes like this: I saw Jeff last week. He was in great shape. We're in the cigar lounge, we're having a drink, and then he clutched his chest and he collapsed, and the ambulance came. And oh my God, can you believe he passed?
Mm.
Jeff has had either the combination of high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and sometimes undiagnosed type 2 diabetes.
Mm.
All these travel on the same train. All of them are inherited. All of them are controllable if caught early, and you can have a normal lifespan, or what we call health span. Health span is good quality of life when you're doing the things you enjoy, irrespective of your age. All right. So, if you focus on health span, then you got to put in the work. You got to do your checkups. You got to exercise. You got to eat right and avoid smoking cigarettes. And and just give yourself the best chance there is and pray, and then
Yeah,
the rest is not up to you. But you got to
yeah.
do these things. Hopefully, I answered your questions, but I'm happy to
So,
answer anything that I have not.
well, I want to tell you, Doctor, I certainly have gotten a lot of information today on the Wealth Builder podcast. And I heard something, and these two words just stood out to me out of all we spoke about on the Men's Health is Wealth show today. And like people go check their bank account, I heard you say this operative word, check it. Whether it was your prostate, whether it was your colon, whether it was heart disease, high blood pressure, the word that really stuck out was check it. You need to check it. Without checking these things, that little chest pain that you feel, just a little chest pain. Every now and again, you just get this little chest pain that just kind of, just a little soft pain. You
Right.
mentioned that he was doing fine, and yes, the next day you said he was gone. Like,
Correct.
because what? Didn't check it. I think that kind of boils down the show today, is that all these things from ED to, and with the latest advances in cancer screening that you talked about, I think is wonderful.
Correct.
Again, you all to reach the doctor. He did give his information again at 702-834-9200, and he's
Yeah.
at the Ever Ready Health Clinic, Rainbow, I believe, and you said Blue Diamond, correct?
Correct.
And just call and make an appointment, you guys. Let's stay on top. Men's health is wealth, not just your bank account. Because I've seen people as a real estate broker who they've had great success, beautiful property, investment properties, and they've gone and the family just wasted the wealth, right? They don't care about it because easy come, easy go.
Yeah.
A fool and his money will soon depart. So you leave it for someone else to spend it because we simply didn't check it. So, Dr. Victor, we thank you so much for your time today. I wasn't able to show, I showed Chicago. And again, I want to give big shout out to the committee for the Wealth Summit here in Chicago, where I
Yeah.
stood as the keynote speaker on building wealth through equity. So shout out to the committee there for the Wealth Summit here in Chicago that they sponsored me to come out. And I wanted to do my podcast from here. It's a beautiful scenery. They put me in a
Yeah.
wonderful location. But I didn't want to miss the opportunity to talk to so many about men's health as well. So again, doctor, thank you so much for your time. I know you've got other appointments. I won't hold you anymore, but I will send you a clip of the podcast. It is going to be on YouTube, and I'll continue to share it. And again, thank you so much for your time, and may God's best be yours.
Thank you so much. And before I depart, some of the issues are a bit touchy, so feel free if somebody is interested and they contact you to give them my cell number so we can have a discreet discussion if necessary. Okay, I don't mind it. I'm very very passionate about everything I do, and so I'm happy to do a one-on-one. I won't charge you anything. Just ask me questions, and then I'll give you the direction. If I can help, I will. So,
Wonderful.
that being said, have a wonderful long weekend. Everybody be safe. And remember to check it.
There you go. That's a wonderful slogan right there. Just check it. Thank you
Yes,
again, doctor. And we'll talk to you real soon again, okay?
fantastic. Thank you.
Enjoy your holiday weekend. Thank you, sir.
Bye bye.
Okay. Thanks. All right, everybody. You heard it. Greg Deville live here in Chicago. I have tried to let the background really stand out. Wanted to share with everyone the opportunity that I was facing. The Wealth Summit here in Chicago went over very, very well. We're excited about information that we were able to share with people about building wealth through equity. So again, great opportunity. Reach out to the doctor. Man, let's do this, man. Let's stay on top. I know everybody always talks about, having the physical exam, but the doctor let you know you can actually get it through your blood, running blood now. So let's do that. Okay, let's do that. Let's talk again. Our podcast is every Friday at 11 a.m. Under the Hood Studios. We're excited about it. Want to continue to have it and continue to share it. When you see it on Facebook, go to Greg Deville YouTube channel. You'll see these podcasts and others and many of my radio talk shows. So again, Greg Deville, building wealth through equity, as well as the wealth builder himself, helping families build wealth, one generation at a time. If we can help this generation and the ones coming behind us, listen, this world could continue to be a great place to be. So thank you again, everybody. We'll talk to you real soon. To contact me directly, 702-349-0162. Greg Deville, Deville Realty Group. Take care. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. Be safe. Until talk to you next time, may God's best be yours. Thanks.